6:05, and the meeting will be taped by the West Bridgewater Community TV.
You don't have any appointments this evening, and I will hold off my principal assessor's report. You have new business. Ms. Deborah Cawley is requested to address the board regarding my contract.
Okay. And what else? Is there anything else?
For new business?
Yeah, nothing? Okay.
Just the usual signing the warrants. I have a couple of things when I get into my report.
Okay.
But I thought we'd give
Sure.
Ms. Cawley the courtesy of addressing the board first.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, shut that.
I had a friend that died, and getting a call on that.
Should I come up there?
Yeah, sure.
I have a couple questions about things in John's contract, and one of them had come to my attention a couple of meetings ago when Paula asked John if he could write down some of what he gets the comp time for. And according to what it says here, it says additional hours of work may be increased by the Board of Assessors as needed. So it just makes me wonder why nobody knows what he's doing and why Paula would have to ask him what he was doing. If the board, which is you three people, decide if he can have extra hours or not. So that's my first question.
Well, I'm assuming, because he's asked me many times in the past, not in a formal setting like this, but in the past anyways, when we got around setting the tax rate, or we have something we're working on, assuming that it has to be done pronto, or near pronto, and he can do the work like I do for my own business at home sometimes, he gets to go ahead. But what you can do is direct it at him, all right?
Well, I'm directing it at you because you wrote the contract, and it says that you are the ones that decide if the additional hours are increased.
I can't answer any specific on that, all right? I'm only an elected board member. We try to keep hands on top of what's going on here. But if you ask about any specific time that he's alluded when he got comp time, I can't be specific about it.
Well, I'm not asking for specific time. What I'm asking is why you people do not know what he's doing and when he's doing it.
I'm gonna finish what I was just saying, please. Is that it's my understanding when anything he's gonna any comp time that or whoever he works at or words that, it's in relationship to his performance and duties. And anytime I've been done it myself and such, it's something that's got to be done within the immediate timetable. So that's all I can say on that.
Then why does it take him months to turn in a comp time sheet if it's got to be done right away? Why aren't comp time sheets got to be done right away?
I don't know.
Who's the boss?
The Board of Assessors.
Right, so why don't you know the answers to these questions? Because you're supposed to be the one that's the boss.
What is the question again? I think what she's asking, if I may, is when I was asking about, when John gave me his list, it was a list of the dates and the times. And then I had asked about, what some of these things were, because we were then talking about how certain times of the year we may be busier than others, and I said, maybe we do need additional help.
That's right.
And we talked about, Steve interjected saying, we don't want to just bring in anybody. It has to be, maybe we get Patriot for different times of the year to make things easier. So I think what Deb's asking is when John had the big blocks of comp time listed, what exactly was taking up all of his time during all of that? Is that what you're...
What I'm asking is why nobody on the board is aware of him needing extra hours in the first place Like he just turns in a comp time sheet and you don't even know that he worked those hours. Like, there should be some communication going on here, because
Well, we expect always to have extra comp time during the Department of Revenue, setting the tax rate and other things.
well, I guess sometimes might be busier than others, but like,
Well, it's not every week.
well, I wouldn't know that because
Well, I just told you, it's not every week.
well, like I said, I wouldn't know that. But I'm asking why, when something comes up, why aren't you people notified that he needs extra hours? Or whatever
I think
it
there's a
is.
misunderstanding here.
It's not a misunderstanding, it's like you're
I think there
avoiding the
is.
question.
Obviously, you're entitled to your opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion, but I think there's a misunderstanding here. I'm a salaried employee.
I know what you
I don't
are.
get paid any more money for any extra hours than I put in. It doesn't go on the books of the town of West Bridgewater. I don't get time and a half for any extra hours that I work. I don't get any more money than my salary for any extra hours that I work. I really did that as a courtesy to Member Bunker when she asked, when are you working these hours? So I gave her a draft of the hours that I'm working. But I'm under no obligation to submit any comp time to anybody.
Well,
I just do my job. And that's
okay,
what,
then
that's
I
what I've
want
been
to
doing
ask,
for 9 years.
why are you submitting comp time when it's
I'm
not
not-
even in your contract?
I'm not going to anymore.
Not anymore? You've been doing it for over 2 years.
It isn't a courtesy to Member Bunker.
It's,
I wasn't required to do it. This is
no, you
obviously...
know why? Because you know
May I
you
finish,
cannot.
please? May I finish? This is obviously a political football now, so I'm not going to engage in that type of activity. I do my job. I do more than my hours of work every week. I don't ask for anything more than my salary.
Then
Period.
why have you asked for comp time
I
for
haven't
the last
asked for
2
comp
years?
time.
Excuse me, Paula? He's turning comp time, she's hasn't.
Well, I think what he's saying is he's saying he hasn't asked for it. He's referring to, if I'm understanding, you haven't put in for payment on it on a regular basis. You're not taking.
Ever.
You're not.
Never, ever. Never, ever.
I'm not
No, I
saying
think there
you-
have been times on your payroll sheet you've requested, you put in comp time,
I
but
put
that's
it-
not even
He
what
can't
we're
get
saying.
paid for comp time.
But what you're both
That's what
talking
I
about.
think. That's what I think is a misunderstanding here,
You cannot get paid for comp time.
and I don't get paid for comp time.
Well, that's not what I just heard from Paula.
No.
I'm telling you,
And you
I
can't
don't get
even
paid for
earn
comp
comp.
time.
You can't earn comp time.
that's correct, and I don't.
You have for 2 years.
No, I haven't. That's the misunderstanding. Do you have any other questions
It's not a
for
misunderstanding.
me? Get your opinion. I appreciate, I respect your opinion. It's not a fact.
You
It's an
turned
opinion.
in paperwork for comp time.
But he turned it, but he wasn't turning it in for payment though.
I'm
That
not asking.
Okay,
about
no.
payment. It's not.
Okay.
Has nothing to do with payment. It's not in his contract, so he's not even entitled to turn in paperwork for comp time. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't. He isn't allowed to earn comp time because it's not in his contract. And when I spoke to him on the phone last Monday to get on the agenda, he told me that it was a verbal agreement with the board that he can get comp time.
Before I was 35 hours a week, before I was a full-time
You
employee.
told me that last.
okay. Wait a minute, Deb. Just let him finish what he's saying.
Don't put words in
Let
my
him-
mouth, please.
I'm not putting words. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm
Thank you for
telling
doing
what you
that.
told me last week, that you don't get overtime for your comp time, and that you only get the 1 hour.
Maybe I don't want to argue with you. I'm just trying to explain to you.
No, because now you're changing your story, so
No,
that
I'm not
makes you a
changing my story.
liar.
Oh, I'm done.
Oh, it's funny.
I'm done. I'm done. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really funny.
I think this is.
I did, and what are you going to do about
I
it?
think this is.
Kick me out again? Call the police?
I think this
Go
is going
ahead.
from a
This is
civil
what your problem
conversation
is.
to.
No, your
You
problem is
maybe-
you are all liars.
Don't stamp your
Except
hand on
one.
here on this table to me, okay?
I can do
You've
what I want.
already had 2 open meeting law complaints against this board.
Yeah, and
Only
maybe
against-
there will be another one because
And only
he's
against
telling us.
Steve and myself. You conveniently left Paula out.
Did she do anything to me yet?
I don't know.
Well, if she does, I'll open meeting complaint against her. It has nothing to
We
do
brought
with.
you in, we sat you down at this board, and you
And
left,
now you can't tell me why any of this is going on.
and you left that day, and your comment was, I said to you, maybe we can work a little better with you, and
Well,
maybe you can work a
apparently
little
you're not.
better with us. And then what did you do 2 or 3 days later? You went and filed the open meeting law complaint that we
It's
discussed.
my right to do
Then you
what I
should
want.
never have wanted to come in and sit.
I tried to talk to you people.
Oh.
You're doing the same thing then that you're doing now. You're passing the buck. You don't have answers, and it's ridiculous that you people are on this board for this town, and you don't have answers
This board
to
is
why.
is a very good board.
Oh no,
And
I
it
don't see
always
it.
has been.
I
Can
do not
just
see it.
interject for a minute, ladies? I think what Deb is actually asking is when John is accruing all of this comp
You
time.
can't prove
No,
it.
but just go with me for a minute, please. Okay? That, you know what? Sometimes though, salaried employees, yeah, there are like they said, you know, when it's tax time, you know, we got to set the tax rate. There are times that everybody has to just buckle down and pretty much bring your pajamas because you're never leaving this place.
That's right.
There are certain times of the year that does happen. But I think what you're asking is with the amount of it that was, what exactly, besides, you know, setting the tax rate and why was there so much? What else is going on that we need it? Because I had said, like, you know, and I had said, when I mentioned about, you know, maybe we do have to then think about making that part-time position full-time to take off some of that weight.
And when you
So-
make it full-time, he's still putting in for lots of comp time.
But that hasn't happened yet because that part-time position is still part-time. But I think what you're asking is
No,
part
it's-
of what I was saying. Let me just finish, please. Is what I was saying is what, you know, why so much so frequently? I think that's what you're asking. And that's why I ask, because I don't know. And like Steve said, we don't know.
But you people he should be calling you and say, you know what, I need to work a few extra hours. And I told John when I talked to him on the phone last week that I don't have a problem with you guys saying, oh, you know, you put in like 10 extra hours this week. It's okay if you don't come in Friday morning because it's only, you know, like a half a day or something like that. I don't have a problem with that. What I have is a problem with is months and months of comp time sheets being turned in, and nobody knows where he was and what he was doing at any of those times that he's asking for comp time.
Right? No, I understand
It's-
that
it's-
part of what you're saying.
It's
The work was
frustrating
done.
to
The
me.
work was done.
You don't know that.
The work was done
Prove
because
it.
we would never have been
Prove
certified.
it.
I don't have to.
Yeah,
we
you
wouldn't
do.
have been. We would never have been certified if the work wasn't done.
What work?
All the work for the Department of Revenue to get
And-
everything set up.
And how do you
He
know?
didn't have anybody in that office for 2 or 3 months, and he did it himself.
Getting
So
our-
that's where
getting-
his
getting
comp
our,
time came
LA3,
from.
LA5 is approved, growth approved,
When we set the tax rate. if we
questions on subdivisions, and a whole host of things that go into setting the tax rate.
get. Right, for that. Right, there is
I
absolutely
stack that high.
there is a whole bunch of stuff. But
Well,
I think
he's full-time now, so he should have time
And
to
he
do his
was
back
only.
time.
We didn't have someone in the office for 2 or 3 months, and he carried it himself.
And when was that?
Go ahead, Tammy.
She
Another-
wasn't there when we had this, the last one, whatever, the one we had that you had to do it when Donna left. When was
And
that?
she didn't have the training either. But that's,
Right, but
that's
Tammy's
really
been
neither
there.
here nor there.
Yeah, well,
I think,
Tammy
like I said,
didn't
there's
have
some
the training.
misunderstanding.
I want to say
I
one
think
thing.
people are making assumptions that are.
I want to say one
correct.
thing that personally, when you say, you know, what is he doing and such, I know exactly what he's doing because we've seen what we just mentioned. We've set tax rates over various years. But in one particular case with me, where I testified in court of law, we were up against the gun real quick to get. We did it ourselves without bringing in town. Well, actually, well, town council. I'm sorry. John did, and I was busy with my full-time work. We did a lot of legwork on a narrow appraisal that him and I prepared for the town. We went to court and we prevailed. So in that case, his comp time was out running around looking at warehouses in Bethune for him.
But he doesn't get comp time. It's not in his contract.
Right, it's not in his
But you
contract.
can't call it comp time.
But there's no other word to it. And I understand what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with you.
But he can't get comp time. He can't. If he works extra hours, he can't have other hours off because he only works 35.
But he can if the board says that's okay. That you worked a couple. We killed you this past week. Why don't you just leave early on Thursday and
He
call
told
it?
me he can use his comp time to go to doctor's appointments. And don't tell me he didn't say that, because I know what you said to me.
But I think that what you're asking is why so much? And it's a valid question. That was the same question I had. But I don't expect John that every time he's got to work, if he's got to work late tomorrow night, I wouldn't expect him to call each of us and go, hey,
I'm not saying he has to call each of you, but he should be calling someone and say, I'm going to stay and work a few extra hours, so that the board knows what their employee is doing. And it's not working like that right now.
And I agree things aren't quite working as smoothly as we'd like to see it. But, you shoot an email, hey, this past week, been a killer, had to stay late. Something small like that is perfectly fine.
But it's not happening.
No, we
tell
have.
me it has, because it hasn't.
No, and I'm not going to say that it has. But that's the thing. I think we're trying to come to a happy medium. But no, I don't know what all this comp time is for either.
That if you want a happy medium, then you people need to be the boss. He needs to be the employee, and he needs to check with you before he stays an hour late, so you guys know what he's doing. And it's not funny, John. Well, I don't find anything
I don't
funny.
think that he has to.
I didn't know that you had the authority to direct
Tell us
them
what to do.
how to tell me what to do.
I'm a taxpayer, and we voted for you.
So am I.
Yeah, and we voted for you.
And I probably
we
pay triple taxes.
Yeah, you don't pay triple taxes. You pay the same taxes at the same tax rate as
All right,
everyone
I have
else.
a high tax.
we move on here. I want to get into further
My
business.
tax bill is high too.
So, we all have high tax bills. And so I guess I don't get a real answer, because you just
The answer
jump
is
into other stuff.
I
It's
think-
fine, Paul.
No,
It's
yeah,
fine.
no, please.
It's fine.
What were your other questions? Because I think
No.
the answer to your question
I'm
is
done.
I don't. I can say I don't know. Steve said he doesn't know exactly what it's all for.
Because you should know. You guys are supposed to be his boss. That's why we elect you, to be his boss and to know what he's doing. I bet you don't even go in and see half of what he does. And don't tell me you're in here because you have a full-time job, Steve. You said it yourself.
No, and
The
Steve,
work
but
is done.
Steve has said that he's not in here all the time. That Steve has said on numerous occasions.
It's all a joke, because you people laugh it
No,
off.
it's not a joke.
Yeah, you think it's a joke because you're laughing at it.
Did I just say
Because-
it's not a joke?
Yeah, you already laughed at it.
The
Doesn't
board
matter what
has
you
always
say.
trusted me to do my job.
Well,
And
maybe I don't trust
and
you to
despite
do
what
your job.
Right, I understand that.
That's why I'm
Despite-
asking questions,
Despite what you may
because it's been
think,
fishy in the
I
sea
do
for a
my
long
job.
time.
That's your opinion. You're entitled to your
That's
opinion.
right.
Let me inform Ms. Cawley that the check and balance for any board, not just us, the check and balance, for people upstairs that might not know exactly how we conduct our business, is the fact that in the course of our duties, we set, which is, I've seen it more times than not, we set a timely tax rate. If we don't, it's going to go to fourth quarter actual. They're going to borrow money and such. That's our number one priority, to get all the stuff certified, the sales verification, the INEs, to set a timely tax rate. 2, the number of appeals and abatement applications. For the size of our community, the amount of our levy, the total value, the number of parcels, I think it's a job well done. 3, and most importantly for upstairs, for the financial people, is that we have never in my, 14, 15 years here, they would know that we're not doing our job, or think that if we ran an overlay deficit. And I'm not going to take the time to explain to you what it is right now, but those 3 check and balances to any layperson upstairs or in the audience that can certainly check on, that says to somebody that we kind of know what we're doing down here. Thank you.
Would you like my principal assessors report, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
The Plymouth County Commissioners have imposed a $1,615,329.26 assessment on the town of West Bridgewater. It is the town's share of the operational cost for the Plymouth County.
Okay. Is that pretty much the same every year? Does that fluctuate?
Yeah, it fluctuates, but it runs fairly consistently. The board had requested that I ascertain the current balance of my vacation time. I spent considerable time working on this. I reviewed all of my payroll time sheets for the last 4 fiscal years, and I have computed the times. For the last 3 years, as you know, I've been an employee for 35 hours a week.
Right.
So that was a straight comparison. For fiscal year 16, I was an employee for 24 hours a week. So I prorated the amount of time that I was allowed for vacation week. So I am asking the board, and if you have any questions, obviously I'll be happy to answer them, but I'm asking the board to approve a rollover of 28 days credit for vacation time
Over the last 4 years?
over the last 4 years. For the fiscal year 16, 4 days. For the fiscal year 17, 10 days. For the fiscal year 18, 10 days. And for the fiscal year 19, 4 days. This does not include my current payroll period, fiscal 20, which we began July 1.
And
I made a copy for each one of you.
right. And do you have anything else to say in that matter?
No.
Okay. Well, I make a motion that we accept the rollover of John's vacation days for the last 4 fiscal years of a total of 28 days.
Second. Oh. Well, discussion?
Discussion, sorry.
Well, I mean, he's compiled it, which is great, and I'm not disputing the amount of time, but I do think that just throwing it at us and expecting a vote right now, we should at least have the opportunity to review it, ask any questions about it, and then vote on it at the next meeting. I think that would make more sense, because I would like to see it and at least have an opportunity to talk to John sometime in the office if I have any questions, and not tie up board time for me to look at it.
The motion's still out there. I make a motion to accept John's vacation time, the rollover was 28 days. I'm sorry. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
No. So we're just going to take it at that without reviewing it, giving anybody the opportunity on this board to look at it and just push it through.
That's right.
I
The
think
law
that's
says you can go back 4 years. I'm gonna check on that.
I think that's unfair.
I have
I'm
a
a board
question.
member
I don't know
too.
if I'm out of order or anything.
Oh, probably.
Why doesn't he submit the reports every year? Why is it a 4-year time frame?
John can talk about the business.
If I could answer that, I thought my contracts are turned into the town every year. Bad assumption on my part, I guess. I assumed that was being accounted for. The issue came up when my payroll started to show a negative vacation time. So I talked to the assistant town treasurer, and she told me that I would have to go through the board, and that's what I did.
I think this started before that, because I think I had emails of you and I having conversation about it back when I first got on the board.
I don't recall specifically.
Well, his contract says he can only use 10 days
Always
in
supposed to be
the
one
preceding year,
Well, the-
succeeding year.
I mean, obviously, I'm willing to answer any questions,
I think.
but the board took a vote on it, so.
Right. We'll move on.
I mean, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them after the meeting.
Sure.
We'll call the office. I'll hang around afterwards and talk to anybody that
Will
wants
the
to.
That's, if you make yourself available to any specific questions on it, that'd be
Be
good.
happy to.
No?
Sorry?
I'm sorry, I'm asking, will this be filmed when I meet with John to ask my
No.
questions?
No.
I think everyone should know what's going on. 4 years is a long time. I've only been in the town 3 years, so 4 years is a long time. I think 4 years is unreasonable for someone to finally realize that I've been getting
So you
short.
thought the town was keeping track of the tally ho?
I did.
I wasn't done talking.
I've been
I'm
asking
sorry.
for it for more And just
If
recently.
it's been 4 years, what's the rush to vote today? Can't wait one more week.
He doesn't have any vacation time, he's in the negative, and now he wants 28 days.
Well, I was going to say during the discussion period before the vote that there is a public records request that's outstanding, and the request included vacation time, personal time, sick time. So the
So you put that together?
clock is running. If the board wants to rescind its vote, do it in 2 weeks. I'll have to tell the individual who made the public records request that the board rescinded its vote and that it will take more time for that information to be processed.
All right, we'll do that then, if you want to, if you get that together so we can have a more specific answer on that stuff.
When was that public request submitted, please?
I don't recall, but the clock is ticking.
Have 10 days, correct?
That's correct, 10
10,
days.
10 days and then an additional 15 for you to.
If I tell the individual this didn't happen tonight, I assume the board can take it up in
Yeah.
14 days.
Is that right? Is that additional? So it's 10 plus if you need that additional
10
time.
plus 15 if I need time.
So, excuse me, you could actually request an extra 15 days to get information all together.
No, I don't have to request it. If I notify anyone who makes a public records request that I
Within 10
need more
days.
time,
Yeah.
then I am allowed 15 more days.
If you get it done in the 10
By
days, you get it
statute.
done. Right.
Okay, and where is that noted? What town records or what town laws,
It's
bylaws?
the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Public Records Law.
Yeah, that's a state law.
Well,
When you request records,
Yeah,
they have, like, just for example, if you sent me a records request, I have 10 days to respond back to you. If I don't have all the information or I don't respond back to you in 10 days, I can send you a request asking for additional time.
No, not a request.
Or, well, notify you that I
Notify
need
the
additional
individual
time. My
that-
wrong
That
word.
your research.
and why isn't that on the town website? Because it says 10 days, it doesn't say anything about an option of request or
Well,
notifying me.
no, I understand what you're saying, but the town website doesn't have all the state laws on it. But that's state law that,
But,
I think most of the time they get done within the 10 days.
well, I'm sure they will be, but
I think this is just a little bit different.
there's a lot of different things going on in the town. That's gonna go over my timeline, that's why I'm asking. I have a very tight timeline, through no fault but my own. But when you call and you ask questions and you don't get answers from last week, that delays the process. So now I'm finding out that there's an additional 15 days, which I wasn't aware of back in May, which would have been nice to know. You know, shame on me for not knowing the state appeals quotes or whatever. But I don't think that's how you treat town residents. You should be upfront and tell the town residents that, hey, listen, you got 10 days, but if I need 15 more days, all I have to do is notify. And I know you can do that because when I appealed my tax increase, you sent me a letter saying we need an initial 30 days to figure it out.
Sometimes even longer, sure.
Well, okay, I didn't know that. I followed it through, but that's,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, so we'll have, we'll
Is the board rescinding its vote? Is there a motion to rescind the vote?
I'll make a motion to rescind the vote on the rollover of the vacation days to be discussed at the next meeting, once you get your records.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor? Aye.
Is that meeting open, or is that just between the board?
That's open, that's in,
Yeah, it'll be just the regular next meeting.
No, I mean that you guys discuss whether you're gonna.
in the open, yeah, in the open session portal, yeah,
Okay, great, thank you.
sure.
So I'll put that on the agenda for next week.
So it's a motion to rescind the
2
vote
weeks,
for
2 weeks, yeah.
vacation.
Just make a note of it. Okay. Over the past several days, I submitted draft copies of minutes for April 3rd, June 5th, July 3rd, August 17th, thought I sent it for July 17th, too.
No, I don't think there was any for July.
July 17th? Well, July 3rd.
There was one for July.
Was that? I remember
July
seeing-
3rd?
I remember seeing July.
Am I wrong, John?
Yeah, July 3rd. I thought I sent the 17th, too, but I didn't make a copy of it. I'll look at it.
Yeah, I
July
knew there was one there.
17th, yeah.
Did we meet on the 17th, or didn't we do something, there was something funky there? Did we go 2 weeks in a row or something? Maybe not.
No, but I think we need a time off.
He canceled one meeting in May.
Yeah. Oh, is it, yeah.
May.
Wait,
Yeah,
I knew
there was one that
there.
the agenda didn't get posted, and we
Right.
didn't have a meeting, so maybe that's what.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
what they
I
did.
knew there was one that we got
I
us.
think you
Make
might
a
have
motion to
canceled
take
one
off
in
August
April.
1.
Yeah, we didn't have it, we don't have anything, it was in May that you didn't send any minutes for. Yeah, I have
Yeah,
July,
May
it was
15th.
May. May that,
So is July 17th there, too?
yes,
Yeah,
the
it's
Julys
July.
are there, it was May I was thinking of, I had the months confused.
So,
I knew there was one there somewhere.
Yeah.
so if the, I would request the board approve the minutes of April 3rd, June 5th, July 3rd, July 17th, and August 7th.
I went over that stuff, and I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
I'll second that.
John submitted.
They're all done.
And,
Discussion?
yeah, we just got them yesterday, I haven't had a chance to go over all of them yet.
They weren't just yesterday. I sent them in series.
Right, the bulk of them, some were just sent today. 4 were yesterday, and 1 was Monday.
Oh, yesterday? I thought I sent one on Tuesday. One or two on Tuesday.
I got 1 Monday, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 yesterday, and looks like 1 today.
I think I sent
Yeah, there was a cluster that came in, but
Yeah, I haven't had
I went over
time.
it. I didn't really find any problems with them, you know.
I didn't either, I read them all.
I mean, there was some that I
My
glanced
minutes.
at quickly.
Yeah.
I had questions, but I didn't think we were gonna.
Did you read any of them, Paula?
I just said that I had questions on some of them, yes. But
Um,
just getting them all this week, I don't think
Yeah.
that's fair to
I know.
expect them all to be
Yeah.
approved.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept those minutes.
And I'm gonna second it.
All those in favor?
And again, I
Aye.
say no, because I've not had ample
I understand that.
opportunity to review them, and again, I think that's unfair. I mean, the oldest one is April, and, or like Paul said, it's been this long, what's 2 more weeks?
When I sent them, I did add a note, please
Do them for
Please
tonight.
review them and be prepared to.
Well, unfortunately, life gets in the way.
I get that.
Yeah, that system.
It's the balance
I know
of
if we don't
people
have them-
complaining they're not
If
up.
they're not posted, everybody's complaining about
I
them,
know,
they're not
maybe like-
there.
Well, if
And then
anybody,
when we got them up there.
Meetings from this month
still
should be
complaining.
approved by this month, and then everybody will have time to
Well,
read
I
them.
know, but there's other things that have to be done too.
right, but if anybody complains,
And then I read them
watching
all.
this meeting, if they opt to hold them, it's my fault for 2 more weeks. I will take anybody complains about it right
Motion to
now.
Accept them.
John, if you can, in the future, try to get them out, before the meeting, so we all have a chance to,
I did.
I got them, I looked at them, I didn't check the spelling and every word and everything, but I got the gist of them, so I didn't have a problem with them. Maybe somebody else does, that's fine. But if you get them out sooner, to give any one of us a little more time to look at it.
Absolutely positively. And while we're on the subject, although I didn't plan to bring this up, it's probably an appropriate time. As you know, the duty of the minutes used to be that Cheryl would take the minutes, give them to one of the clerical staff members. Clerical staff member would complete them and send them. I've been doing that because that staff member went to another office. And it's difficult because of all the other duties that I have to do this too. So I would recommend that I have one of the clerks come to the meeting, specifically Daniela. And I approached her and I talked to her about it, and she said that she would be willing to do that. She'd have to receive compensatory time because she's, as you know, a part-time employee.
Right.
But I think it would be in the best interest of the board and to the public that she come in, she take the notes. Obviously, you're the clerk, you still would have to review them, but we can maybe get this process to work a little more smoothly.
I couldn't agree more, because every other board, when they conduct their business, they have somebody sitting there taking the minutes as
That's
they have.
typically what happens.
That's good.
I have no problem with that. Daniela will, she has time, whatever.
She said she'd be willing to do it.
Good, okay. That sounds good. Probably should have done that a while ago.
Sure. But hindsight's a wonderful thing. Excuse me.
So that means we're gonna have 2 people taking minutes,
No, just one, and I'll review them when they're done.
so we won't be taking minutes.
Right.
Does that have any interference with the union contract?
I will check. I don't believe so, but I will check.
Okay.
As you know, we had an employee, a retired employee now, who worked for the Board of Assessors and took the minutes to the planning board. I wasn't aware of
That's right.
any conflicts. But I'll
Right, but I'm just going
I'll
where
vet that.
she's just making sure where she's coming back
Absolutely.
in to do something else, if that has any effect on it, that's all.
Sure, understood. I'll run that by the union. And-
Yeah, because other boards have people doing that where that person isn't a member of that board. That should be okay.
Okay. So I think that's all I have for my report. Well, you have the bills and the warrants that I assume that you signed.
Not yet.
So the only other business I would have would be applications for abatement in executive session and discussion of litigation of appellate tax board cases, and to get the language correct for relative to Purpose 7 under Mass General Laws, Chapter 59, Section 60, and Purposes 3 and 7 under Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 59 and 60, and to discuss litigation, because to do so in public could affect the ability of the Board of Assessors to negotiate.
Okay.
But Tammy's here, is there,
Yeah, I was wondering if I could talk.
Sure, yeah. I'm sorry I didn't.
Can
I saw you slide in there,
That's
yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. Can I sit?
Oh, well, let it, yeah, let it come up here. And once she's done, we'll do our executive.
Okay,
How
thank
you
you.
doing?
Thanks.
Yeah.
I just, oops. So,
Thank you.
I had approached, I think it was second look at that. I approached John tonight about coming to this meeting and just kind of bringing up, I'm on it. Kind of bringing up those vacation days that I sent an email out to you recently. But I was contemplating coming in or not, because I was told that I would be written up in insubordination if I came and spoke at this meeting, so,
Came in to this meeting here?
yeah.
Would
And
we
if I
help you
brought-
on the agenda, or?
No, and brought up the vacation time. So, it was, just to speak to you about those last 2 Fridays, that you had, and Paul had both said that would be fine for me to take. Danielle would be working those 2 Fridays. And,
I'm sorry, I apologize. I don't exactly,
I know.
I don't remember the exact wording.
That's okay. So
My
what
my
happened
gist was, we just try to work
Let me
together,
start. Yeah, so what happened was, you had allowed me my July Fridays, and then John was going
I
to think
remember
about
that.
it and get back to me. And I brought it up at one of our meetings, which is, I think it was July 15th, and he hadn't had a chance to look at it, and then he gave me a calendar on July 24th with 4 out of the 6 days, Fridays that I had wanted.
me
and-
going forward. right?
Yeah, because he said he was taking those Fridays off. So I had sent an email to let the board know where we were at there, because it had been discussed that if there was coverage in the office that, I could take those Fridays too, even if John did. And John felt that, he was the office manager, and that, he had said that I couldn't take them because he was taking them off. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, and, sorry, I'm nervous because it's.
Yeah, that's all right.
It just
Yeah,
kind
no,
of brought it up.
Yeah,
So,
take your time.
Yeah, so, I guess I was just a little confused because last year it was like as long as the office was covered, Dawn and I could work it out. And my feeling is I'm there 4 hours, Danielle said 5 hours, there's still coverage. There was one night that there was nobody there and they put a senior person in for, I think it was 4 hours. So I just didn't understand why I couldn't have these Fridays. I put in for it back in July. I just told John I felt it was very unreasonable that I had to wait up until, like this Friday's my last Friday. I mean, I'm running out of time and I don't understand why I can't have it. So I wanted to just see if you still felt the same way as what you put in the email, that you felt that, you know, if it could be worked out, if, you know, if there was coverage that you and Paula both felt that I could take that time off.
To be honest with you, in regards to that, like when I returned your email answering that, my whole thing was just try to, you know, obviously like we have since I've been here, you know, the office has always run pretty good together.
Yes.
And I know that, you know, you work hard over there doing what I think is a great job. So let's try to work hard, you know, and somebody needs a time to here and there. In this case here, it was I don't remember, it was so many Fridays off.
Yep.
And you know, and then we came down with John's really the office manager, with the board's elected. He had the final say on that. So I really can't give you a straight answer saying yes or no, this is why, this is why not. I'm hoping to be office coverage. John wanted the next two Fridays,
Yeah.
these two, and you had, what, 7 in a row off or something off?
I don't know, I had
9 out of 11.
9 out of 11, yeah, so.
Just for this year, because
Yeah,
Danielle doesn't
right.
have one. Like during, it's been a tough afternoon, but you know, like I said, first I was told I'd be written up for insubordination, then I was told that an incident, no, wouldn't be that, would be an incident. Then I was told that something was going to happen, you know, he was going to do something if I came into this meeting. So I just wanted the board to know, because I feel really threatened, you know, I felt like, I thought I had a right to come in and meet before the board, and now I don't know how that works, and it's just
I'm not sure whether
upsetting,
right.
and,
I apologize on behalf of the board. I'm not sure where that's coming from. And you know, knowing John the way I do, I don't know where that came from. And
But I'm sorry.
yeah, no, that's all. I'm a little confused.
It's really two.
Seems kind of top heavy here.
There's
So.
really 2 reasons,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman. It's not on the agenda. You know that the board has had complaints about discussions of items that have not been on the agenda. It is not an item that could not have been unreasonably unanticipated. If it was an issue, it should have been brought to my attention to put it on the agenda. Number 2, this gets into an area of a personnel matter that I really prefer not to discuss at this time.
As far as the first thing about not being on the agenda, I go back to, again, we added that line. Any unanticipated items not listed may be brought up.
So why wouldn't this be unanticipated if it's been an outstanding request for over 3 months?
well,
I'm assuming she didn't plan on coming in here.
no, and
I
The
mean,
issue, but my point is the issue was resolved.
it
The
wasn't.
request was made, the time was granted, as I said, 9 consecutive days out of 11. I did everything I could to accommodate the staff, and I had made plans for 2 other days.
okay.
So I don't think it's unreasonable, and it was resolved.
Right, no, and what you're saying is, I don't disagree. You made, you know, reasonable accommodations for whatever is going on in the office to make sure there's coverage. And it was 9 out of 11. And I'm assuming she's here questioning because of the 2. But and we talked about this before. I mean, I would think a clerical can still ask the board anything they'd like. It doesn't mean we're going to agree with them.
As I said.
But I
I'll
think
just repeat myself. This is a personnel matter, a personnel issue that goes beyond this request, but I prefer not to discuss at this time.
and there may be other stuff going on. But the only thing
What are you saying, John? With the executive session or with the human resource officer or what?
It could be that or more.
Yeah.
to do with vacation time? We're talking about vacation time now.
But don't we have
That's
a,
got nothing to do with
we
that.
have a policy and a chain of command policy, that you're the department head and the staff goes to you.
Yeah, I agree. And my contract also says that I'm responsible for the management of the office
So I don't know why we,
in coordinating time
Well, I
to
want
get
to-
work done and to have time off.
What's
This
the
to your
tenant? Yeah, I'm
attention.
sorry, get to it.
If you look at our contract, section 3, I highlighted it. When you request vacation time, you're supposed to have, whether it's approved or denied, within 5 business days, you're supposed to get notification in writing. And that has never happened. I've had to ask John over and over. I've asked them at one of our meetings just to find out if they're approved or denied, so I can make arrangements.
How were the
for
first 9 in a row?
vacation.
How were the first 9 in a row handled?
So when I came to the first
I mean,
meeting,
this is 9 in a row, 9 out of 11 Fridays.
yeah, the first
Okay.
one,
Recently, right? Yeah.
yeah, in July, you guys had said, we'll
Yeah.
go with July and we'll see what happens in August.
How was notification there? How did that work?
I mean, you know enough
You
you
made
could
a
take your days off.
Hmm?
You knew enough that you could have that time off.
Well, I put in, it's right, there's attachments there, and it shows my
Yeah.
first request that, and the board had signed off on it, and then, actually, John had only given me the first, I think, 2 something days, and then during that meeting, the board decided that I could have all the Fridays up into July. And then you were gonna revisit it, and you said as long as there was coverage in the office, you didn't see any problem in call it off a dance or this and that.
That's
So
been past
that
practice,
was the
sure.
understanding that as long as there was coverage in the office, that I could have those remaining Fridays off. And so I did, during a meeting that John had, the office meeting, Danielle was there when I asked. I asked if he had a chance to look at the schedule, because he had told the board he'd look at it next Monday or whatever, or next week. And he said he hadn't, and he let me know when he did. So that was July 15th. And then there was another week, July 24th, when I finally got the calendar from John, which is also attached, and it shows that he just wrote in the names. And when I asked him about Friday, he said that, I mentioned if I want a couple more days off later on, how much time I need to ask for that, because that was in addition, because we're doing renovations in New Hampshire. But anyhow,
Sure.
he offered me this week, and I said, I don't want a week off. I said, I don't want to be out of the office for a whole week. I thought, I don't even know if I'm going to want those additional days. I mostly wanted the Fridays. And I just figured 4 hours out of the office, Danielle's there covering. I don't understand why what John's discussing has anything to do with the vacation and coverage of the office. Like it has really nothing to do with that.
Well, I'm not.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, my understanding was as long as the office was covered, it was good.
Sure.
So other things that he's referring to really don't pertain to like vacation. And, like I mentioned to him, I said, if the board decides and says I can't have those Fridays, then I at least should be allowed a reasonable amount of time to pick a couple other days. And I don't believe reasonable is like a week before. I think that's very unfair. And that was part of my, discussion with John. And he just said that, then fine, pick 2 other days. And I said, well, the board had already said I could have those 2 additional Fridays. I'd like to just check with them because there's coverage. And that's when he stated that he's the office manager and like he basically can make those decisions.
Sure.
But he hasn't, followed through with giving me, anything in writing that they've been denied and given me any notice. And, that is in our contract. And so, that's an issue right there. But if the board agrees that I cannot have those 2 Fridays off, I'd like to know tonight, and then I would like to ask you for something else so that I can have my summer vacation, like everybody else in this building gets to do. Like, I don't know why I'm always, it's always last minute. Like, I can't just give my schedule
Yeah.
and just get it approved and be able to plan my vacation. It's very...
I'm not sure where we should stop this discussion because George requested to do it, executive or something.
Well, if
I-
you don't want to do Fridays and if you
Well-
want to pull on that, can I pick some days so I can plan my summer? I mean, I just think this is so unfair.
John, how's that with you? You want to talk
I'd
about
rather
it?
have the
Executive
Fridays,
session,
but-
you want to say she can't have, maybe give her a couple alternative days?
Well,
Let me finish here for one second.
Sorry.
In regard to Tammy, like I said, you do an excellent job, and at least from our standing point, at least when we talked about this before, the fact that you weren't denied, you can't have Friday, you're too busy. You've had 9 out of 11, so that's been good. What I don't think is fair on our part is to make it short notice for you. However, with those 9 there, at least we've extended the courtesy of saying, you can cherry pick your Fridays, but I understand that if you can't have any one of those of the next 2, that you need time to reconcile some other dates. I understand that.
And,
So we're trying to work with you here.
I know you are. That's why I wanted to come and speak to you, because, I understand that next year that I can't take all these Fridays. I had a discussion with Danielle right off the bat. I said, look, Dawn and I worked it out. I'm hoping that you and I can work it out. But it sounds
that's
like
good, yeah.
there's been a big change here, and it doesn't matter if there's coverage in the office. It's whether or not John will allow it. So I was just wondering if maybe there can be some.
Right.
Something, I'm writing something next year so that I don't go and sit there and try and schedule something and have this happen. Because I just think it's very unfair.
I think
and I thought the most
what
important thing
will
was
have,
coverage in the office.
what will have to be done, at least maybe even next year, is a definitive answer, so you'll know your plans. You're talking about over the summertime.
Yeah, then usually that's the most is when you want to request your summer vacation time.
We definitely want to, oblige you, obviously, because I'm the firm believer, like in my time here in other departments, that when everybody's working together in a happy work environment, things get done a lot better. And this is certainly would pertain to that. John's the office manager with the contract and such. So again, I'll ask him. Do you want to further this discussion just and decide that? Do you want to do an executive session, or what do you want to do?
I have mixed feelings about that, Steve. And I just reiterate what Timmy mentioned, union contracts. I have a contract here. The contract says I'm responsible for managing the office.
Right.
If you want to change my contract, that's fine. If you don't want me to make those decisions as to how to get the job done, and if you want to manage employees' vacation times, then we'll change my contract.
John, you saying that, right? We're not in a position here as elected officials to micromanage the office. I'm not here on a day-to-day basis. I don't know what's going on.
Right.
So
And that's
it makes sense whether it's you or whoever's sitting there to do that. And if the employee has some type of problem, to come in here.
I'm sorry for interrupting. And I'm simply saying there was a request for 11 consecutive Fridays. I thought I was more than reasonable. Graded 9.
And I agree on
did
that.
everything
Yeah,
I could
yeah.
to accommodate
Sure.
the request.
I just got through saying that. I agree.
So I just don't even know why we're having this discussion right now. The decision was made, and I just feel like if an employee isn't satisfied with the decision I made, then go around me and come to you. Say, I don't like it, I'm not happy. And I want a happy environment too, Steve. But this is not creating harmony, I don't think. Because now I'm going to be in conflict with the board about my ability to try to manage the office.
So if she can't, for whatever reason you have, that's fine, be issued time off to the next 2 Fridays I think she wants, then we should have her pick a couple of days instead. Alternate days, so she can get on with her schedule.
I'm sorry, that's what we had discussed, which is why I thought the issue was resolved.
But she said that, I believe she said that she's still looking for an answer to that, and
Right, so a couple things. One,
I'm sorry for getting
the
frustrated.
first meeting, what was discussed at that meeting, it was said that if there was coverage, then I could have those Fridays, because it wasn't going to affect anything, we would have no coverage. So it didn't appear to be, if you go back on even the videos, an issue. If I took 20 Fridays, if there was coverage in the office and it's not affecting anything. So, not that I'm going to take 20, but, So when he came back with like the change, yeah, I put it out there because the board had said if I remember correctly, and I can go back and look it up, if there was an issue that they would do whatever they could to try and make it possible for me to have those Fridays. So that is why I wanted to come in here. It wasn't because I was going against my boss. He didn't give me a reason. That's like a violation of one of our contract, rights, that we're supposed to have something in writing. So there's no reason why I can't have it that was in writing to me. And I don't even know how that all works. I don't know if he can just write a letter and say because I said so. I don't know how that works.
I don't either, so that's gonna have to go.
And that's why I'm looking into it, but the person hasn't got back to me because, but it does state that I'm supposed to get something in writing in 5 days, which is reasonable to allow me to make my next
Sure.
decision. So whether they say he has to give a reason or he can just say no, that's fine, but I have a right to know within 5 business days, and it's not happening. So it's going a month, it's just not, to me, it's not fair, it's not reasonable, and, and then to be told that, I'm gonna be written up for insubordination, and that I felt threatened. I'm in there, I'm feeling threatened, and it's, I gave you everything. You should have that. Oh, you, okay, yeah, so I gave one of each. But
What,
this one-
I'm just curious, obviously you feel the way you feel, I'm just missing something here, and, you're entitled to that. Like, we had the 9 Fridays in a row, it wasn't like John and the board was saying, no, you can't have any Fridays, or maybe one here or there.
That wasn't where the frustration lied. Where it lied was that I couldn't get an answer, and I would be told, well, I don't know, and I'll let you know, and it's just like, it just kept lingering on, which was my first concern at the first meeting.
Sure.
Like the year before, I just put them in, it was, work out with John, if it works, it works. So
Sure.
I kind of assumed, which you don't want to assume, that that's how it would work with Danielle and I.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if it's not
Agreed.
going to work that way, then I think I should have been told at some point in time that, things have changed and this is how I want to do it now, and, you can only do this, 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 and this. And instead what's happened is I'm putting in my requests and then I'm being told, well, I got to think about it, and then I have to keep asking, and then, nothing ever gets answered. And then I had to come back here and, or send you guys emails. John didn't reply to the email that you replied to and Paula replied to. He didn't reply. So I didn't know. I said, I sent you the email, you didn't reply. So, but I am legally supposed to get something in writing.
Sure.
And that needs to
And
happen.
that would help your
And-
plans too, obviously.
Well, yeah. I mean, it kind of
But-
takes the fun out of your
Yeah.
vacation, and when you have last minute trying to make
It's gonna be,
decisions.
from
And
what
I
I
don't
can
wanna
see,
lose my days.
yeah, from what I can see, obviously, I don't want to pass the buck here, but it's going to be probably a position from, the town now has a full-time human resource officer,
Mhm.
and you have a union rep and such.
Right.
So, I don't want to pass the buck, but I think it goes beyond my scope of the deal right here to say, why he didn't do that, or should he have done that? And, to me, to keep a happy work environment, that definitely should have been done. Give you plenty of notification so you can plan your summer. You had 9 out of 11, so that was kind of good. And the last 2 you didn't know about, but you have to know about so you can make your plans.
Right. But yeah, so I think there needs to be something made clear, because I was just going off of last year, and and that's what I said at the first meeting.
Yeah.
And I don't like to have to keep chasing and trying to figure out what's going on. I don't
I-
think it's fair.
I
I
don't
don't
like-
think anyone else goes through that.
No,
It's just like,
yeah.
this is.
There's not enough time in the day for that. I agree.
No, it's very unfair.
Right, well,
That's
I don't
why-
think, I'm sorry, I don't think any of us realized that was part of the contract. Because I know I didn't know that was in
Yeah,
there.
it
And
is.
I'm sure Steve and
That's-
Cheryl, did. No, I realize that. So obviously we need to do better with that. And I'm sure going forward, now that you brought it to our attention, it'll,
We would be on the contract anyways.
it will
No, I
be
think you
taken
need to
care
get a
of.
copy of it. Don't you have a right to have copies of it?
Of
Do you want
course.
a copy? I can send you guys one if you want. But,
No, I
It
have a
has
copy.
mostly
I
the
don't
fact that,
remember seeing it. That's on me.
But
Yeah,
that
that's
pertains to all your time that you had off, that should have been done, is that right?
no, it's vacation time.
Right, but I'm saying, you didn't get it for the other.
I'm going to say this, right?
I only
You
had
can do what you want. I'm working 1,000,000 hours in some big task cases. I'm going to let somebody from Human Resource or somebody say,
Yeah.
this is what happened, this is how it's done, this is the contract law.
Right, that's it.
All right, so if you go
That's
into
it.
executive session,
Yeah.
and you're gonna do something, if he says no, can you write down that, so I get this Friday off, and if I don't get the next Friday, then I'll
You
get
wanna know
the
what days?
following Monday.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the Tuesday after long weekend. Is that simple?
All right, hold on, just so there's no
Yeah.
confusion.
And
Can
I
you
bring
just,
my phone in here.
no, just
Right.
do me a favor, just write,
I just wanna,
on the back of this paper, what days
sorry.
that you're looking for off, the Fridays, and then what your alternate dates are.
I see, do you have
You-
a calendar that I can, sorry.
No, that's fine, let me put the calendar on my phone. It's August. So that way there's no confusion.
Alright, so that's the 21st, so it's the 30th?
And
It's
now,
actually, wait a minute. I did a poor job of putting this together, so sorry. So it's the 30th of August. That I requested in. Let's see, September. So, those notes, I'll put down my,
which is those two are your first choice?
well, I'm gonna put them with the days that it falls, because I don't know if it's gonna take them both way, but, and then I'm gonna have to look into the other thing and see if, so his 30th, so if I can't do the 30th, I'm lunch.
Take your time, Tammy.
I'm
Take your time.
sorry.
Take your
It's
time.
been a long meeting, so I'm so sorry. It would be September, so that's a holiday, so it'll be the 3rd. And I don't think Friday is a holiday. All right, so that way, so if he says no, both of them, it's simple. These are the 2 days I would like. If he says no to one of them, that's the day that I would like right next to it, okay? And like I said, I asked John if I do want more time off, and he said as soon as possible, so I'll just play it by ear if I get an opportunity. So I do have to use everything but 5 days, so I'm just trying to get to that
Wait
point.
from that.
I can only
They allow you to
roll
carry
over-
5?
Yeah, and then you only have like 2 months to use them.
Really?
Yeah, it's not like you get like a year,
Yeah.
so.
That's in the contract?
Yeah.
And when do you have to
And I
use?
think-
Negotiate
And I
that.
think, no kidding, huh? I don't need to do that though. I need a break.
When do you have to use them by?
So I think it's by my anniversary date, so that's October 23rd, so I have to double check on that, but I think I have to use my personal and at least 1 week if possible.
Yeah,
So I
I-
never took time off.
Yeah, I think it is.
And you can't roll over the personal days, I don't think.
No. So
That's
I've
how it's
got 1 and a
going.
half, so I'm gonna use those up, and then,
Yeah.
so, but,
It'll get done.
so for me coming in here, is it okay for me to come in here, or is that something I
And the
guess,
thing
I
is,
can't.
we have to be careful when it's not on the agenda. We have to
And
be
I've
careful.
asked, like that meeting, I said,
And the
does
thing
this
is-
do anything on the thing? And I said, yes, I'd like to do mine.
But the thing is, John, you really need to probably work it out with John, because he is the department head.
Yeah, I'm reading,
And then
my-
if it's a,
I'm reading right here, the
That's
the
fine, but I
policy.
want
yeah.
him to
I'm reading,
follow
yeah, that's
you
it.
have to work
that.
with him.
But he needs to
Yeah.
abide by this as well. And if he's going to say
Absolutely,
no to
because-
days, he
So
has to
let's-
do it within 5 days to give me a reasonable amount of time. And if he chooses not to give us more of an idea of what he's going to allow and not allow, that's fine. I've never heard of things like this for jobs. It's usually it was if there's coverage, there's coverage. I've never heard of this.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but we want to, like I
No,
said,
me
want
either,
to
and it's.
keep everybody happy, so something will get done and we'll notify you.
But, if that's the case, that's fine, but I just wanted to see where, I got an email, he saw it, and where 2 board members said, fine. I thought I was all set, and I didn't understand, and he, and he didn't give me a reason. Or-
Yeah,
I don't even know if he has to give me.
my
a reason.
fine wasn't exactly for all 11 Fridays, but it was to, keep
No, it was
to,
the last
to accommodate you the best way we can, that's all.
And like I said, I won't do that next year, because Danielle will have time, and we'll
Yeah.
I would have thought we would have worked it out together.
Excuse me 1 second, I'm going to see what John
But
is.
now I don't know what we're supposed to do, because it sounds like
Work
so.
it out together and then talk to John and do what you gotta do. That's the office.
Well, that's what we're used to in the meetings. And so, like this, so that's what, I just want some clarification, and then I'll put my time in and see where it goes. I just want to.
Well, I'm sitting
But anyways,
Well, I know John's.
did you get the whole thing? Because it looks like I only copied on the state one, so.
I must have it probably in this here file.
It's pretty much the email that I sent you,
Yeah, I got that. yeah.
okay, and then the contract. And if you want the other contract, the whole thing, let me know if you don't.
Which other contract?
So if you want to copy of that contract, let me know. If you
I think I have that.
Right. So, I'm done. So,
Okay.
if I could go as soon as possible, I really appreciate
Okay.
it. All right. Thank you very much. Do you guys want me to keep these here in case anyone wants them or fresh?
You got it.
Right.
I'll say, thanks,
Thank you.
Tammy.
Yeah.
So we're all set to,
Can I add anything to that last conversation, or?
we're all set. Thank you.
Well, I have an opinion,
We're all set.
so I can't say anything, correct?
You can if you want to. You can talk to John afterwards. You want to get the agenda? Yeah. I just want to move on with this.
I'd like to talk to the board, I think there's
Sure.
some serious issues.
That's fine. Then put yourself on the agenda for 2 weeks, okay, please? Thank you.
I thought there's a section in there that says unexpected agenda items.
Did I make that motion to go to an executive session?
I think there was a motion and a second, but you could repeat it just to be on the same.
Oh, yeah,
line.
we-
We have to do a roll call anyway.
Yeah.
We didn't make a motion yet because I had asked Steve White
Yeah.
about Tammy being.
And
here, so
I
we didn't
apologize
get
about that,
far.
but I got about a million places to be in a little while, so I want to try to move on. I'm
I'm sorry.
sorry. I know, that's fine.
I can't wait 2 weeks.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll make a motion to enter an executive session for the reasons that John went through. And I'll need a roll call for a second. Yeah, roll call. Assessor Bunker,
Here?
Smith,
Yes,
McCarthy, yes.
okay.
And we will not be reconvening into open
Oh, I'm
session.
sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
7:12.
Yeah.